Hey everybody, it's Mark Schultz here, and we are coming back again for our fourth webinar broadcast on blockchain. It's going to be really an exciting opportunity for us to be able to share with you the information that you wanted to see from the blockchain broadcast that we did the first few times around. And it's going to be a great event, and you're not going to want to miss it. We're going to talk about blockchain again. We're going to talk about some use cases that exist out there, and we are going to have our special guests back with us again. Do not miss this. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you this morning?
Hi, Mark. Good morning.
Actually, it's evening where you are. It's morning where I am in Seattle, and it's evening where you are. Hope everything's going well.
Hi, Mark. Good morning.
Excellent, excellent. So, gentlemen, let's just quickly reintroduce ourselves in case people don't remember or know who you are. LV, could you tell us who you are and what you do at Real Variable?
Right. So thanks, Mark, for having us again here. My name is LV. I am the co-founder and chief technology officer at Real Variable. We have been working on creating multi-party collaboration solutions using blockchain as the backbone. And we have been doing this for the last 3.5 years, and we have been one of the pioneers in terms of making some of the multi-party collaboration.
Perfect, perfect. And our next guest is Kieran. Kieran, how are you this morning, Kieran? You doing well?
Hi, Mark. Good morning, and very warm welcome to the participants across the world. Really appreciate, and we are honored and humbled to be here on the fourth webinar, which is a bonus webinar. So my name is Kiran Prakash. I am AVP at Real Variable. I take care of the strategic new business account acquisitions across various verticals, and I myself come with deep knowledge of the aviation industry, having worked in the aviation sector for the past 5 to 6 years.
Right. So what we have is we have two very significant experts in blockchain. So let's jump right in, everybody. I know you're all very interested in the subject of blockchain. Aviation has been something, for those of you that are watching, that's very exciting, and we're going to get right into it. Before I do that, I just want to say, can you please help us by sharing this stream so that people can see it out there? And all the different platforms that we're broadcasting on. We're actually broadcasting on about 7 or 8 different platforms right now, this final blockchain webinar. And remember that we're going to be taking your questions live. We had some really lively discussions over the last few weeks on blockchain. So first thing is that if you're out there watching, just put a comment in the box and tell us where you are and where you're watching from. We'd love to know who you are and where you're watching from. And if you have questions, just start putting them in the box. Looks like we're already getting people, joining us from different locations. Doesn't say from where, but there's gentlemen, pronounce that name for me.
It's Neelmani Singh Gangwar.
Okay, excellent. All right, I'm not very good sometimes at international names. So if you guys are out there watching, I would love for you to just say hi and tell us where you're coming to us from. We'll give you a shout out during this. So, hey, let's start out with this, gentlemen. I want to sort of reset this broadcast and go back just a little bit. And LV, I want to start out by saying, LV, tell me, what is the importance of blockchain to aviation right now? Why is it important right now?
So, as we have seen, Mark, in the last 2 or 3 sessions, right? So, blockchain is the way that we see the application of blockchain is in the multi-party collaboration. And as part of a multi-party collaboration, the industry is now growing beyond exchanging the information or seeking the information beyond the tier 1 supplier and tier 1 customers. So as the industry is evolving and as it is progressing in terms of working with different tiers of suppliers and customers, there is a unique opportunity and a unique need to be able to exchange the information in a trusted way. So the information is not going in a hops from tier 2 to tier 1 to the OEM or the supplier 1 to supplier 2 to the MRO operator. It has to be shared with the entire ecosystem which is involved. That is where we see the aviation industry getting benefit out of it, and there are wonderful use cases that are there which are forming part of the supply chain, and then also getting beyond that in the aviation industry.
Okay, perfect. So in the past, we've talked about the fact that it provides us easier ability to be able to implement multi-party collaboration. We've talked about it being able to give us permanent records, immutable records that exist out there. We've talked about the platforms that you've built and how it's easier to onboard and share those with people across many places. Those are all really important aspects. Okay. Now, before I jump to the second half of this question, I want to keep engaging with people so people know that we're paying attention to them. One of our platforms I can't put up on screen, but I have Jim Fitzgerald from the US. Jim, want to welcome you onto the platform or onto the broadcast today. Thank you. We have some other people. We have people joining we have Khalifa joining us from the UAE, and we have Neilmini from the UK. Excellent. Very glad to see you on board with us. We have more difficult names for me, gentlemen. Pronounce that name for me.
That's Gaurav Kumar.
There you go. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I got Simon Barker, who is a very frequent watcher. He has a big conference coming up in November. I think it is in Toulouse. You guys need to check that out. And really glad to have all of you guys on board with us watching today. Let me go to the second half of this question. All right. So blockchain. All right. The other thing people have asked of us a little bit about is when we're using blockchain now out there, why is blockchain better? Well, I'm not going to say better. What advantages does using blockchain give us over, say, using just databases in aviation today? LV.
Sure. So not necessarily from an aviation perspective. I would answer from a generic perspective, right? The industry has grown, Mark, in terms of having the information generating from the source and consuming at the destination, which means that the business rule has to be written at the source, the business rule has to be written at the destination in terms of storing this information. Now, there could be changes that happens at the source, there could be changes that happens at the destination. And when this happens, the actual information set, when it is transposed, it loses its character, or it loses the importance, or it gets into errors. So, but when it comes to blockchain, right? So the entire network will have a reference to the same information set, and whatever is visible to them in terms of the controls, what needs to be visible to each party. And then the business rules also need to be written and can be written on the blockchain layer itself, which means the source and destination have the same business rule rather than having an individual copy of the business on both sides. While that is one process, while that is one advantage, the second advantage is that you can easily create workflows between multiple parties. So that becomes a true multi-party collaboration. So aviation, automotive, discrete manufacturing, consumer electronics, all of these sectors have this need today in terms of getting into multi-party collaboration and extended workflows beyond enterprise.
Excellent, excellent. I see that there's going to be a tremendous amount of advantages when it gives us this core baseline of capability that we can build on. Hey, listen, normally I wouldn't take a question like this until the end, but somebody just asked a question that I want to kick it off with a question so that people ask questions. I want people to ask questions. I really want you to ask questions. This one's a little bit off topic a little bit, but I thought it was very intriguing. And the question is that do you think we'll see aircraft manufacturers creating their own cryptocurrency to facilitate payments within our own system? That's really an interesting, idea. If we have blockchain being used to provide multi-party collaboration and records and flow of warranty and parts, do you think we could see a separate cryptocurrency that was being used as payment forms?
Quite possible. Quite possible. If there is an application for that, and if that is something which the settlement happens immediately based on the smart contracts execution. So it's a wonderful thought, actually.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea. Okay, so listen, keep submitting your questions. I'm going to take them. I won't forget about you, but we're going to jump into one more question I wanted to have for Kieran before we went on. Another big hot topic that came up last week was digital twins. And so, Kieran, just give us a quick refresher on what a digital twin is and how it fits into this. And then we're going to jump into some of the use cases. So, Kieran, talk to us a little bit about digital twins and what it really is and what's the value of that in blockchain.
Yes, Mark, sure. So digital twin basically is a digital equivalent of a physical object. And what we mean by digital twin is also to track the entire journey of a part or a component or any object right from the day it was manufactured, the day it was put into service, and the entire life cycle. So when we say digital twin, it covers all these in a very broad sense. So it is not just an object, but also the journey of the object through its lifetime. The reason why digital twin is a very important concept and is gaining traction across industries is because it has the time has come for the OEMs, the large manufacturers, to track each and every part or track each and every high value component at an individual level. So that is basically your serialization of the components or serialization of the high value assets. And this also helps the industry. This also helps the operators and the MROs, because they will have all the information which is necessary for them to use this object or use this part or a component in aviation context in a proper way, ensuring that all the safety related checks and compliances has been maintained. And it also gives a backfeed to the OEM stating that, okay, this part has been used for so and so and such a long time, and these parts had these difficulties or incidents or issues or snags. So the OEMs can also take this as a continuous improvement or a feedback for them to actually fine tune their manufacturing process. So it not only helps the OEMs, but it also helps the operators, MROs, and also the regulatory agencies to have this kind of information visibility. And when you bring blockchain into the context, it becomes a kind of immutable record. So immutable record meaning it cannot be tampered with. Nobody can go and change its history, or nobody can go and tamper with its existing information set. So this brings in the trust in the ecosystem. So digital twin can very well stand on its own without blockchain, but with blockchain, it brings the trust and also the immutability into the picture.
So when we bring both of them together, it gives us, even greater capability. Yeah, I think we had some good conversation last week about digital twins and records and how that can help us build a historical model, an immutable, unchangeable model. And by putting blockchain into there, it makes it, all those things that LV talked about. It makes it more, multi-party collaboration. It's shared on the distributed, infrastructure and all those different things, all those values. So I think we have a great foundation. So listen, now that we've talked a little bit about sort of just the basics of blockchain, and for those of you watching, if you're jumping into the middle of this, maybe you haven't seen the first three, webinars, they are accessible on our YouTube channel. And if you just do a search on the internet for #DigitalAircraft, you will find our YouTube channel. And on that YouTube channel, our previous webinars are there, and you can watch them, and you can get caught up on some of the great dialogue that we've had about blockchain, previously. So I'm going to cut it a little bit short on the discussions of the technical aspects of blockchain, because if you want to get caught up on that, you can go back and watch that on our YouTube channel. Quickly, before we go on, I just want to call out a few more people. We have Paulo, joining us. Looks like Paulo's in Brazil. I usually got a lot of people watching from Brazil. Welcome, from Brazil. It's great to see everybody from all around the world. Hey guys, isn't it fun how we can connect with people all around the world today, in a platform like this? It's just amazing. I mean, I really like connecting with people. I'm in Seattle, Washington. You guys are in India. We have people in the UAE, in Malaysia, in the US, in Brazil, and all over the place. On our other platform, we have Rajesh coming from Malaysia and Vipin coming from India. So we have a lot of people coming from everywhere. Welcome. I'm really glad to have you. Keep asking your questions and we'll bring those up. Kieran, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about use cases, because one of the things that people really wanted to know about last week were, hey, let's talk about the business problems being solved and how they're being solved and what's the real value in doing that. So what we decided to do for the next 30 minutes or so was to have conversations about use cases, about business problems, and how they're being solved. All right. So Kieran, where would you like to start? How would you like to start in that conversation today?
So Mark, digital twin is something which I already gave a brief about. So we discussed in detail about what digital twin was and how it really benefits the industry, with respect to aircraft tracking, with respect to component tracking, and how all this information becomes a very rich and valuable data to different parties. So today we will be focusing on the second major use case, that is on the warranty management, Mark. So as you can see, warranty management is a very important topic, and which kind of just enough importance or enough attention is not paid to this topic. So we have picked up this particular topic because we really see a huge value or huge value proposition in what we are building as far as solutions are concerned on warranty management. So warranty is, if I go with the literal definition of warranty, warranty is basically a kind of commitment or a kind of assurance which a party gives to its customer, that this product will be working for so and so flight hours, so and so flight cycles, or for a certain period of time. And if there is any failure with respect to the product during the stipulated period of time, then there is a provision of creating claims. Now, claims can be of different types. It can be complete value-based claim, or it can be a claim where repair is involved, or it can be a claim where repair and replacement is involved. So there are different types of claim warranty and claims management concept. So today, what we would like to highlight is, we would like to explain the viewers how warranty management is really important from an OEM standpoint, from an operator standpoint. And we have also tried to bring in some interesting analogies or equivalence with the automotive industry as well, as far as pain points is concerned. So let me get started with the very first pain point. So the very first point is 70% of aircraft and part warranty agreements are today paper-based. So we are talking about huge bunches of pages and pages of warranty agreement, and these type of paper-based agreement is a lot of analysis needs to go into this, and the warranty administrators need to have the entire warranty agreement in their fingertips if they have to understand what are the various conditions, what are the various operational conditions in which a claim could be raised. So unless and until some people or a group of set of people have that kind of visibility, it becomes very difficult to manage and track warranties. Now, we do understand that certain warranty conditions are supported and are available in ERP systems, namely SAP and the other MRO IT systems as well. But it is the operational conditions which is really not present in those systems. So
what do you mean by operational conditions? What is that? What do you mean?
So when we say operational conditions, it could be how many, what are the conditions under which the part has failed. It can be a temperature-based condition. It can be the number of RPM-based conditions, that is for automotive industry. And for aviation, it could be with respect to flight hours, flight cycle, and also taking into consideration the temperature and the weather conditions, which is all very, some of these parameters are changed based on the conditions, based on the operating environment itself. So not everything gets captured into systems today. So these information, although it is available in the paper-based document, but doesn't really come back into the system as a business rule.
Yeah, so what you're saying is it's difficult to incorporate all those things into the overall process and the considerations from a very basic starting point of it being electronic, is what
Absolutely.
You're saying. Yeah, okay, all right, okay. Thank you, yeah.
And next pain point is, Mark, because the lot of information based in paper-based documents, so we have seen that 1 in 4 claims generally gets missed due to lack of understanding. So from an operator standpoint, that is as high as 25% of claims, which kind of gets missed due to improper or not full understanding or deep understanding of the paper-based warranty agreements.
Sometimes it is understanding, sometimes it is interpretation as well. The way the people might interpret a certain condition to the other person interpreting the condition could vary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've definitely found in aviation that when we're capturing like write-ups and different things, is that the more structured the environment is, the more valuable that data becomes. Is that maybe like discrepancies on aircraft or different things like that. And so when you're providing an electronic environment to be able to capture that with more structured environment, your ability to be able to manage that and interpret it better, definitely is improved by having these kind of systems. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
They'll be.
right? Then the next pain point is, pertains to the dollar value itself. So an average of $4 million is claimable per aircraft, especially in the initial years when the aircraft is covered under, warranty. So that is, I think, 3 to 5 years of full comprehensive warranty. And I think the airframe components get covered for as long as 12 years. So when the aircraft is new out of the stable and, the airlines are using, so there is an average of $4 million depending upon the size of the aircraft, whether it's a single aisle, double aisle aircraft, single deck, double deck aircraft. It all depends on the size and complexity of the aircraft structure itself. So keeping that in mind, an average of $4 million is something which is claimable, but which is not fully realized today. And when you multiply this by the fleet size of, let's say, 50, 100, then the claim value becomes, the missed claim value becomes a much larger value proposition, or missed claims rather.
It's good. Kieran, we continue to get, more watchers out there today. I know there's a lot of you out there watching today. Thank you for being out there. We have some people that have joined us from Dallas, Texas. That's great. Welcome, Shane. And Ali from Oman just joined us. Welcome, Ali. I've seen you on lots of our broadcasts in the past, and you've asked questions, and thank you for doing that. If anybody has questions out there as we move forward, be sure to put them into the comment boxes because we're going to continue to answer your questions today. Go ahead, Kieran.
Yeah. Then coming to the pain points which the OEMs are facing. So the very first pain point is the traceability with respect to product warranty agreement. Again, it ties back to the point number one, because most of these agreements are paper-based. So the establishing traceability from OEM to tier 1 to tier 2 and tier 3 is something which is not very easily established as far as product warranty agreements are concerned. Then the next pain point is with respect to the systems itself. So, when you talk about OEM to supplier and the supplier tier 1 to tier 2 and so on, at least the supplier community from OEM, we see that most of the systems are pretty much disconnected as far as information exchange is concerned. So there is a limited amount of connectivity till tier 1 circle, but that also is not fully established in the systems. So most of the information generally information exchange happens through emails, through PDFs getting exchanged, vice versa. So we see that the information itself is not fully available in a digital format in a single system or in a single platform. Then the next pain point is regarding the claim incidents itself. So when you have systems which don't talk to each other, and when you have paper-based warranty agreements, and as LV rightly pointed out, everybody will have a different interpretation of the agreement clauses and terms and conditions itself. So that really gives rise to claim litigation incidents. And once it gets into claim litigation incidents, then we are talking about additional cost, time and efforts and money to get those sorted and have third-party agencies get onboarded onto this particular litigation incident itself. So all in all, it leads to more time and efforts on all sides. So these are some of the warranty related pain points which we could identify with our extensive research for the aviation industry. I also want to bring in some perspective of what would happen in the automotive sector as well, so that we can correlate both the industries, as they are pretty much similar to certain extents as far as the output and the finished product is concerned. So when it comes to automotive sector, some of the pain points which we have understood, which is apart from the ones which is already listed here, is there is a situation in automotive industry where low value claims and high number of high claim values and lower claim value is something which is a very critical pain point for them. So you have huge volumes of claim, but the value of claim is very low. So generally what happens is this kind of claims kind of gets dropped, or it kind of gets written off, because the time and effort required to claim this low value claim tickets itself is more than the time which is required for the efforts required for claiming this is far more than the claim value itself. So this is one of the pain point which you have seen in the automotive industry. And there is also one more pain point which is differentiator here is the claim multiplier. So, the one claim coming to OEM gets split up into multiple claims at the supplier side. So which may also be the scenario in the aviation sector as well. So these are the couple of pain points which we have identified apart from the ones already listed as far as automotive industry goes.
Yeah. So Kieran, if I think about what you just said is that, anybody that has difficulty in administering small claims, if it was easier to administer those, you're more likely to process them. So in any environment, if we created an environment which made it easier to capture and to manage and to process large volumes of small claims, it would have significant value because otherwise you just wouldn't do it, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, Mark.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
right.
All right. Well, very good. Well, these are some good points. So what do we do about this?
Yes. So I have some more statistics to share, based on what we have done as far as the industry research is concerned for the aviation sector. So what you see in the first figure is the amount of claims which is paid per year based for the airframe manufacturers, and the second figure what you see is the claims which are paid by the jet engine manufacturers. Now all this information we have sourced it from warrantyweek.com, which is one of the leading warranty related magazines, online digital magazine available publicly. And we have relied on the secondary research and the information which is already collated by Warranty Week as far as these companies are concerned. So if I were to go a little bit deep on the amount of claims which is paid by these big OEMs, large airframe manufacturers, you can see that in 2019, almost $1.8 billion worth of claims was paid. So this is all in millions. So if we extrapolate, it becomes $1.8 billion. Now, if we were to look at the claim figure in 2018, so it would be somewhere close to 1.2 or 1.3. So there is clearly a 14% increase in jump as far as claims is concerned. And if we were to see the constituents of the claim, we see the blue shade is represented by Boeing. So that comes to around $300 million as per Warranty Week. The green one is the Bombardier one, which is again 200 to 300. And then we have the other ones based on the amount of claims which they have reportedly paid in their balance sheet. So all this information Warranty Week has collated by looking at the balance sheets and looking at the information which is publicly publicized by these companies itself. So this is what we understood as far as the airframe manufacturers are concerned. And overall, if you see over the last 5 years, the claim has been pretty much around $1 billion per year. So this is what the industry has spent as far as the claims is concerned. That is the airframe manufacturers.
Hey, Kieran, we have a question that came in on one of the other platforms, and I can't put it up on the screen, but I'd like to read it. Is that okay?
Sure.
It comes from Rajesh, and it says, as part of the warranty management, what if the customer wants to return parts to the supplier? How does the traction on blockchain help this? So if someone wants to return parts to the supplier, how does using a blockchain platform like this help them do that?
So Mark, correct me if my understanding is correct. When we say supplier, it is the OEM supplier, correct? I mean the tier one supplier.
Well, yeah, they said OEM supplier. So they said correct. Okay. Yes. Okay.
So then that becomes very easy to track, Mark, because in the next slide I will show how the entire forward movement of parts and subcomponents and assemblies can be collated with this kind of solution. So when you have that kind of information available, it becomes very easily to backtrace the particular supplier serial number or a component which has failed. So as an OEM or as an operator, depending upon how much information the OEM shares with the operator with respect to the part, serial lot configuration and the entire configuration assembly and which part is coming from which supplier, it becomes very easy for the operators or the MROs who are the authorized repair agencies to see what part number or serial number has failed. And because that information is available, in the form of blockchain, and the entire configuration history is also available. Also, giving the information of which supplier had supplied that part and which date was received by the OEM, it becomes very easy to track this kind of failures. So again, it depends on the warranty condition itself. So if it's a FOC repair, then the part will just need to be sent back to the supplier, who will replace it free of cost. Or if there is any claim which will be raised, wherein the MRO will be doing the maintenance activity, and then a claim has to be raised, even that can also be done, because all this information.
So I would think that now that we have it digital and we have multi-party collaboration, the information is more broadly available. That it just makes the whole process easier and smoother than because we put it in this blockchain distributed kind of a platform. That's kind of the bottom line, right?
Absolutely, Mark.
Okay.
And
great.
there is one more point which I wanted to highlight regarding the tier 3 and tier 4 suppliers. So what we understand from our discussion with various industry leaders is that tier 3 and tier 4 suppliers in aviation industry generally tend to be mom and pop shops, with single operations and, operating out of a single facility in any part of the world. So as a OEM, it becomes very difficult to track these tier 3 and tier 4 suppliers unless and until the higher suppliers actually give that information to the OEM. So as an OEM, as an operator, if I were to have that kind of visibility to the nth level supplier, then the information would be much more valuable and much more useful for the entire network.
Yeah, so I would imagine that what's happening then is that we're actually extending this out to everybody in the process and just making it much, much easier now, including the smallest of contributors in the process. So that's really, really very interesting that now we can collaborate, much more broadly across the entire, enterprise through the distribution of all that. That's great.
Absolutely, Mark. Absolutely. Yeah. Can I move ahead?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So the second figure I wanted to talk about is the jet engines warranty claims in the last 5 years. So if you see, these are the major engine manufacturers which has been analyzed by the warranty week. So what you see here is in 2018, the amount of warranty outgo was close to $2.1 billion. And that has jumped from almost $1.5 billion to $2 billion, so which is almost a 25% jump, so which is a kind of significant increase. Although 2019 there has been a decrease, but we have to see how the 2020 figures turn out. And since there was a COVID issue last year, we have to see how the warranty has been panning out in the last 1 year. So I'm interested to see the updated articles for the warrant coming from the warranty week, especially for the last year figures. But even if you see 2018 and 2019 figures, we see that a lot of warranty claims has gone from GE. Again, GE, the caveat for these reports is that some of these are really conglomerates. So you have GE, which doesn't report the warranty at the business unit level. So the understanding is it may really not be GE Aviation, but it can be the entire GE business network warranty outgo. And same analogy goes to the UTC, which is now Raytheon Group. So since these large conglomerates report warranty at an organization at an organization level, it becomes slightly difficult to identify and track the individual business unit warranty expenses. But one point which we have understood from our discussion with various leaders is that there is a significant amount of revenue leakage, irrespective of whatever numbers you see on this chart. There is a significant amount of leakage which happens because the OEMs are not able to claim the warranty from tier 1s due to contentious, warranty claims or warranty terms, which can be interpreted in different way by different parties. And same goes with the entire tier 1 and tier 2 supplier network as well.
Okay, well, we've identified the pain points. We've identified that there's significant cost impact, in the industry. What's next, Kieran?
Yeah. So this is all what we wanted to show as far as the pain points and why warranty management is a critical aspect for the entire industry. Now let us look at the solution itself. What we are really doing in this space. So what you see here is basically a process flow which talks about how the part or how the material is actually moving from the tier 2 supplier to tier 1 to OEM, and finally to the operator or the MROs, whoever is the end customer. Now, for the sake of simplicity, we have shown only till tier 2, but in reality, this can go up to tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5. As deep as it can really, physically, as deep as it goes physically in the industry itself. Now, we do understand that beyond tier 1 and tier 2, the organizations may not even have a ERP system, or may not even have a software system for that matter. So for that purpose, we have built some screens which will actually be, sufficient enough for them to do the basic supply chain related transaction with respect to ordering, with respect to receiving, with respect to delivery, and also with respect to entering warranty related information which is required to be captured as part of this process. So what you see here is the movement of material from tier 2 to tier 1 and tier 1 to OEM. So what you see here on the top is the forward movement of parts in the supply chain, and what you see here is the backward movement. So let me first talk about the forward movement. So what happens is these transactions happen in your SAP system. So you have your regular supply chain related transactions between tier 2 to tier 1 and tier 1 to OEM. So what information actually gets captured on the blockchain is basically the outbound delivery, the bill of material, and the warranty information. And same is the case on the tier 1 side. So you have outbound from one side and you have inbound to the other. So outbound and inbound are the very common terms which SAP uses in its terminology. And then you have your bill of material. So bill of material in tier 1 will be a conglomerate, or will be a combination of several such tier 2 parts which comes in through the regular supply chain process. And then there will be a warranty related information for both the parts which gets attached to the finished or sub-assembly at the tier 1 supplier. So that would be called as an outbound warranty, and what you see here as an inbound warranty would be the warranty related information which would be coming from the tier 2 suppliers. So this way at tier 1, which is kind of a sub-assembly, we can take it as a sub-assembly level. So we are not only capturing the outbound warranty, but we are also capturing the inbound warranty and the bill of material for the entire part or the serial number itself. So this bill of material can be after sales BOM. So we are not really looking at the engineering BOM, which will be more of a proprietary information for all the suppliers, and that will be IP related property for them.
Hey, Kieran, I have a quick question. A question popped up on the screen here that I want to bring up in a second, but I've spent a lot of time with airlines and suppliers, and we've talked about the challenge of just the volumes of things going on, and many times the warranty leaders and the people involved in warranties are simply just overwhelmed by the information, okay? And Ali from Oman asked a really great question, said, would it be possible to have an alert pop up in case there's a warranty due, without warranty team intervention? And I know your answer to that is going to be yes, of course, but I'd like you to answer, why that makes it more feasible to do that in this kind of an environment than just answering with a yes. Tell me, why is it easier to automate this process? See, now we have automated, we have artificial intelligence. Basically, we have automated process automation, and we have blockchain. Tell me why it's easier to capture this under those circumstances. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, LD, go ahead. Yeah.
Right. So as Kiran has been talking about, right? So what we are capturing is, at every stage, we are capturing proof of delivery, we are capturing proof of part usage, and we are capturing proof of warranty entitlement condition. These are the three basic or fundamental information that is required to be able to establish whether their warranty claim can be enforced to the next level. So the way that the solution is panning out is, if there is a warranty claim that comes from the end customer to OEM, and OEM administers that, immediately the debit notes get created across the entire network based upon these proof of deliveries. So to answer the question, yes, but it is not just like a pop-up. It actually goes through the entire process of administering and ensuring there is a proof of delivery, there is a proof of part usage, there is a warranty entitlement, that exists, for that particular part, and then automatically creates a debit note.
So basically, if I could capture that, then is that you're not just giving an alert, you're using the knowledge or the captured intelligence that's now contained within the system to do some analysis of that to determine the appropriateness or the timing or any factors that you're capturing to be able to help the process to make those decisions faster, better, and more efficiently is really what you're saying, Ben. Yeah, good. Absolutely. Excellent. All right. Well, very good. Well, thanks for asking that question, Ali. That was really great. And anybody else that has questions, please keep asking them. So Kieran, please proceed. I know we jumped in the middle, but it's really important to answer people's questions as we go. Otherwise, they kind of get left out of context. Thank you.
Absolutely, Mark. No problem. So as LV pointed out, we are building as the material or as the part is moving in the value chain. We are also building these smart contracts on the blockchain side. So if you see this proof of delivery, establishing warranty conditions, and also the BOM related parameters. So what you see here is the tier 2 part usage and tier 1 part. So this is basically how the BOM is getting created into the on the blockchain side itself, as the material or as the part is moving in the value chain. So whenever there is a failure which happens, and also apart from the conditions, warranty related information which is already available as a part of the standard ERP or MRO systems, we will also be able to capture additional warranty conditions by directly programming them on the smart contracts. So smart contracts, you can assume that it is a kind of a business rule engine wherein all those operational parameters which we discussed in the pain point, with respect to the weather conditions, with respect to flight cycle, flight hours, those are the things which can be additionally configured and additionally written into the smart contracts. So whenever whenever there is a failure which is reported, or whenever there is a claim which gets triggered from the operator, these additional terms and conditions on the blockchain side with respect to smart contracts also gets validated. So whenever there is a part removal, these conditions, these smart contracts will get automatically executed, and it will give the list of suggested actions which can be taken. So in this case, what is happening is a debit note is created directly to the OEM. And if the failure was actually a tier 1 or a tier 2 failure, then we would have the corresponding debit notes created in the value chain also. So this way, the operator or the MRO can go ahead and do the repair from their side, and the claim can be triggered, or the claim can be recovered from the actual supplier or the supplier who has supplied the faulty part or the part which was under warranty and now has failed.
Go ahead, Kiran.
Yeah. So I hope the process was clear. So essentially, what you see here is the forward movement when the part is actually being built and final product or a component or a aircraft is assembled and delivered to the customer. And the trigger point is basically the warranty claim itself. So there is a removal, and then this engine can actually decide and explain what the warranty related conditions are, what the smart contracts are, and it will go back and trigger the debit notes with respect to various parties. So this is essentially the solution which we are building, and we are currently co-innovating this solution with SAP, and a lot of industry research and analysis has gone behind this solution, and we are closely working with the SAP team to build this solution, which is right now in the advanced stages.
So Kieran, let's take it back to your pain points, and LV back to the pain points again. Guys, help me just sort of capture that now. You've just walked us through a process flow, and and I'm sure some people followed it, and others maybe it was more complex than what people can comprehend in one setting. But just quickly tell me, is that how does doing what you just described address the pain points? Just summarize it up for me, Kieran, or LV. Just summarize it up for me. Yeah.
I'll do it. So I am the tier 1. I'm the tier 1 supplier, and Mark, you and Kiran are the tier 2 suppliers who have supplied the components to me. Okay. So I have received a claim from my OEM that there is a sub-assembly that you have supplied as a tier 1, which has failed. So this is my $100 claim to you, right? So now I know that I have supplied this part, so I will give that $100 claim to the OEM. But now this $100 claim, some part of it I have to recover from my suppliers as well. Because of your part, my part has failed. And that has been established. Now, first of all, how do I know that whether that part has been supplied by Mark or whether that part is supplied by Kiran? I don't know, right? So today, so I have to make sure that I dig that information out. Then I have to make sure that I prove it to you that it is actually the part that is supplied by Kiran that has failed, right? And then I have to make sure that Kiran accepts it, and then I also have to prove that that is the part that is actually used in the failed part. So this is what that happens behind the scenes. So now that part which I have used in the subassembly, the warranty recovery on that part would be $20, right? But now to be able to get the $20 claim, would I spend $100 effort, right? I would not.
Yeah. So LV, I guess basically what you guys are telling me is that because you now are making it easier to capture the information, okay, you're capturing better information about the terms and conditions and when warranties can be claimed or become applicable, and you're making it easier to create transactions, you're essentially making the whole process expedited and much easier to do, easier to keep track of, easier to execute, easier to transact. And the bottom line is that all these missing warranty claims that just sit there unresolved can now be better managed to the advantage of the OEM or to the person making the claims, because it's being focused on and being a automated process. And because you're building it on the blockchain and because you're making it in this distributed environment, it makes it easier to access, easier to collaborate, immutable, so more of a permanent record. And so in the end, it sounds like we're addressing all the key elements which would go back to capturing all that value that you had in your charts, Kiran. I mean, that's kind of what the bottom line is, if we could sum up the whole thing, right?
Yes, and easier to prove.
Fantastic. Yeah, right. Very good. Very good. That's good. Kiran, that was really, really, really very interesting. So what's next, Kiran? What's next in the discussion?
So I would just like to show a brief product,
okay.
Sneak peek. I would not say it's a demo. It's just a sneak peek of the product. So what you see here is a kind of a SaaS-based application, which can be easily configured, and it can just run on a simple web and internet. So this is a kind of a super user login or a admin dashboard which I am showcasing right now. And we have seen all these 4 components in the previous slide, that is warranty, bill of material, outbound and inbound. So we have seen all these components. So as an administrator, I will obviously have access to all the components and all the functions and modules, depending upon the user-based role access, a role-based access control. Whichever relevant information can be shown to the relevant business users or the system users who will be using this blockchain application. Now, all the information what you see here will be actually pulled from the various underlying ERP or the MRO IT systems, depending upon what is the base system here. So let me start off by showing you a warranty claim itself. So I would select one customer, I would select a claim name, and I would select a serial number and hit submit. So when I click this information, what you see here is there are 3 sets of data parts. That is proof of part usage, which was one of the smart contracts which we just spoke about. So you have the finished good information, bill of material, serial number information, the BOM type, and also the component information. So which vendor has supplied this part and when it was supplied. What you see here is the proof of delivery. So this is the proof of when the part was actually delivered. What is the order information? So PO is the purchase order number, and how many quantities was received, how many batch were received. This information along with the outbound delivery. So outbound is the information which is going back as a finished product to the higher assemblies. And the last bit of information, what you see is the proof of warranty itself. So whenever there is a finished good going out from the OEM side, there is a customer warranty. So you have a warranty condition which will be between the OEM and the operator or the MRO. And there will be one warranty which will be from OEM to the tier 1 supplier. So all this information gets very seamlessly integrated and seamlessly captured and aggregated in the right format for the warranty administrator to actually look at this information and make sense out of it. this is what we wanted to show on the warranty details.
Yeah, one
Similarly, if I
second.
yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah. Mark, this is the dream of every warranty administrator. Okay. Having this
Tell me
kind of
why. Tell me why I should be excited about this. Tell me. Yeah.
right. So I want the screen to be presented.
Okay.
Yeah. Like today, right, if I just queried based upon the customer and, a serial number of the part, where the warranty claim has come in. So to be able to have this entire information, what was the finished good, what was the component that has failed, right? And, what is the proof of delivery? What is the purchase order, that is the outbound, and, what is the sale order that is the inbound, right? And then, what is the proof of warranty, whether the warranty condition existed or not. Having all these three in one single view, at the level of purchase order and the sale order number, at the level of batch number, at the level of the number of quantities that are supplied and the number of quantities that are received, right? This is what this is what a warranty administrator would labor to get the information for every claim, right?
Yep. So the bottom line is you're saying that this information just isn't readily accessible, and to be able to present it in a consolidated view is just amazing. The back end behind this to be able to supply this is the real core of the infrastructure you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
To be able to pitch this information across the value chain,
Yeah. Yep.
what makes it happen like this. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, Alvi. Similarly, we have the other screens, which will other functions which will give the necessary information. Like for example, I have picked up this bill of material number for this particular material number. So if I were to see the level 1 assembly, I can actually go ahead and see what are the components of this, which supplier supplied the component, and what was the name of the component. If I were to go dig deeper, so this is an engine component. If I were to see the L2 assembly, I can simply click on the L2 assembly and I can see what are the components coming out of the the lower assemblies, which is gasket and piston and so on. So this way we can go up to nth level assembly itself. So we have seen automotive bomb going up to 11 levels deep. So similarly, I'm sure the aviation bomb will be much deeper. But having this kind of information in a single consolidated view, in the single view, with all the assembly level information and the supplier related information and the proof of delivery, proof of receipt date, is something which would be a great value addition for the administrators.
Great, good. So hey, let's take a recheck here and say that we have just a few minutes left in a presentation today, and I wanted to make sure that we continue to answer people's questions out there. So if you have any questions, please submit your questions, and this will be kind of another call for questions before we begin to sort of wrap things up, because there's only about 5 or so minutes left in the presentation. So if you have questions, let's get them in there so that we can follow up with you and make sure that you have the information that you need about blockchain, and specifically today about warranties. So Kieran, back to you.
Great, thanks, Mark. So similarly, we have outbound and inbound. In the interest of time, I would just go back to the presentation and show the business benefits now, which is the most important part. So coming back to the business benefits, the very first business benefits or a KRA of the solution is we expect 8 to 10% increase warranty recovery from OEM and tier 1 suppliers from their counterparts. Now, the same analogy can also go with the operators claiming warranty from OEMs, but we see overall we see 8 to 10% increased warranty recovery, which translate to millions of dollars depending upon how big the business operations is currently. Second most important business benefit is the complex warranty contract conditions can be handled through smart contracts, which I just explained in the process flow slide as to how the operational related terms and conditions, which generally resides in the paper-based documents, can actually be brought in as a business rules on the smart contracts on the blockchain layer, which gets triggered every time there is a claim which is raised, or every time whenever there is a part removal which happens from the aircraft. Then because this entire process is automated, and this system will helps create automatic debit note recommendations. So obviously this will lead to increased number of claims for the operators, to the OEM and for the OEM towards the tier 1 suppliers and so on and so forth. So this way the entire ecosystem benefits, and the right party which is responsible for the warranty related claims is the one which actually pays for the particular claim instead of a wrong party ending up for the bearing the claim expenses. Finally, what we see is reduced inventory carrying costs. So when you have the warranty related information as an OEM or as an operator, you know exactly when the part is failing or what conditions, under what conditions these parts are failing. So you can have your optimized inventory based on your warranty related inputs. So warranty can also backfeed and help optimize your inventory depending upon how frequently the part is failing or how less frequently the part is failing. Finally, blockchain brings in the trust because of its nature of immutability. All the transactions which gets recorded on the blockchain is highly encrypted. So as an organization, the stakeholders need not worry that this information might be available in the wrong hands or to parties which should not be having this information. So these are some of the highest level encryptions deployed in the world today. SHA-256, which even the quantum computers cannot break. So again, very, very secure and robust and safe system for information exchange between multi-parties. And finally, this entire trust, immutability, and the fact that all this information is available in a single view and each party sees the same information. Claim litigation incidents we can largely be reduced between various parties, which will in turn lead to a lot of time saved and a lot of cost saved in an otherwise scenario. So these are some of the very key important business benefits from the warranty management use case, Mark.
Okay. Karen, because I went out and asked for questions, we've had a whole bunch of questions come in. Okay, so we need to jump to some of these questions. Let me start out with some simple ones first. Okay, they come in on multiple platforms, so I have to look around at different screens at the different platforms here. But thank you for submitting these questions. The first one is the system real time or is it delayed?
Near real time.
Near real time. Explain what that means, LV.
We probably allow for 5 to 10 minutes of delay for the smart contracts to be executed across the chain from the proof of delivery, proof of part use, and then warranty entitlement condition. So from the time the event occurs, in probably 5 to 10 minutes of the time, the entire chain would have the same information.
Okay,
that's why we call it.
Excellent. All right. So the next question I have here that's come in is that I'm going to abbreviate the question here, but the question basically says if this information is being made available to multi-parties, okay, who owns the data, the information that exists in the system?
It's the, like we always say, right? It is the distributed governance model. So even in the private blockchain networks, there is a consortium that gets formed, let us say, among 10 different group of companies. And these 10 different group of companies will have specific guidelines in terms of how the information should be governed on this platform. So it's a decentralized governance, even in a restricted group of participants.
Okay, so I know that this challenge would exist everywhere. Once we start putting large amounts of information available out on a blockchain that's distributed and is decentralized, is that are there lots of questions that come up about data ownership and accessibility?
We see questions a lot about who owns the intellectual property of this solution, right? Because it's somebody's brainchild, right? But we do not see much of the questions about the data, because the data is getting shared today in one form or another, right? But then when we are exposing this data in a multi-party collaboration, the data governance has to be at a consortium level or at a network level. But as Kiran has mentioned, and as I also vouch in this, whatever data that is put out there is encrypted, right? So which means that people who even try to look at the data with today's available technology, it is not so easy to be able to decipher that information.
Okay, so you have security so that only the appropriate people can access it, and the ownership of the data then becomes a distributed accessibility. But the bottom line is that who is it clear on who ultimately owns the data? Then is it the provider of the data, or
the entire network owns the data?
Okay. All right. Okay. Very good. All right. Okay. Here's a question that came up on the LinkedIn platform is that how do you track flight hours of a specific component? Airlines shall log flown hours or automatically done. How is that incorporated into a process for an airline who's wanting to track hours?
Okay, so I'll take that question, Mark. So basically, the operational related information also has to be, fed back into the blockchain. So when we take the operational parameters, we will also need to see what are the flight cycle, flight hours, and depending upon what information is coming into the blockchain and the smart contract rules and the business rules which is configured. So all these things can be handled and addressed with respect to the business rules itself. So it depends on what the organizations really are looking at and what is basically the understanding between the OEM and the operator. So today the agreements are interpreted in a different way by different legal teams of these entities. So when it comes to smart contracts and blockchain and business rules, it will be one single interpretation. So all these anomalies can actually be done away with when we talk about business rules configured on a smart contracts and blockchain platform.
Okay, so I would say then, go ahead, Albi, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll like to just add one point. So this is where the concept of the digital journey of the physical product, which otherwise, we call it as a digital twin, makes a lot of sense, because you understand, like, when the part is, attached to a particular, plane or, a flight, the aeroplane, and then, when it is detached, from the aeroplane. So you have that information, and then, you have the flight hours of the, plane itself. So that way, you will be able to easily get that information without having to worry about whether I get it from the flight bag, whether I get it from something else, or whether I get it from somewhere else.
Okay. Well, very good, Francois. Thank you for answering that question. I guess I'll add to that myself is that between the integrations and the capturing of the terms and conditions and the smart contract pieces that you've talked about, it sounds like that it would be basically up to what the needs of the organization were, in order to be able to track that. Great, very good. Francois, thank you for that question. I appreciate it. We have one last question that I'm going to take here, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's on the other platform that I can't put on the screen. But if I could, it's a long question, but if I could sum up the question basically says, is that how can I trust this automated data when you compare it against the decades of experience of people that are used to doing this using their intellectual knowledge? Who's going to take that hard question?
Right. So let me try to attempt it, and then Kiran can augment
Okay.
this one, right?
All right. Okay.
So, yeah, before the computers were invented, there was a lot of intellectual people working in business, but then later there is a huge transformation that has come in, and then over the last 30, 40, 50 years we have seen the reliance in terms of how the information is stitched together in the available platforms. Now the trust comes from the very, very, very aspect of what the human eye is reading and then comparing and then drawing the conclusion out of it is what the system is doing as a business rule. So this is not artificial intelligence yet. This is simply looking at information snippets, merging those information snippets with one another, and then creating one ledger, which is the single source of truth as a ledger to all the parties that are involved. So that is where we see it will be able to overcome that hurdle and overcome that barrage of the intellectual work translating into an automated work, and then how do you make sure that it is correct?
Yeah. So what I see is that I like what you said. You said it's not artificial intelligence yet, okay? But what it is it's a broader gathering of data, consolidating it into a simply usable presentation, which allows actionable information. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, so I see this as helping in the decision-making process by giving valuable information in a consolidated manner from more sources. That's what I see. Very
Absolutely.
good. Kieran, it's getting time for us to wrap up. What would you like to do in the finalize of your presentation?
Yeah, so I will just take a couple of minutes and quickly run through the last set of use cases. It's just single bullet point information. So I will sum it up quickly. So the other use cases which could be possible is the real-time asset valuation. So when you have the digital twins available, information of the part, configuration, aircraft, the real-time asset valuation can also be very easily calculated, which will be a boon for the lessors. And today, what we see in the industry is the lessor consolidation is happening. So the lessors are becoming bigger and bigger, and more aircraft and more helicopters to be tracked. So this information becomes very useful for them to go and do the have the real-time visibility of aircraft and the evaluation itself. Then the next point is interoperator stock availability, stock purchase, exchange sales. So because the information will be available on a single blockchain platform, the operators can subscribe to it, and operators can come onto it, and they can do away with their stocks, open up their inventory for the parts which is not in use. So this way, the inventory also is optimized, and the parts which are non-moving parts can actually be sold or exchanged for the other parts in the ecosystem. Then routable pooled inventory tracking is a very good example of how blockchain can really be implemented in the aviation industry. So you have parts, you have components, you have routables with different flight cycle, flight parameters, and they are stored in a third-party pool location managed by some other player. So when these parts keep moving between the pool, and there is a new part going in and another part, serviceable part coming out, so all this information kind of gets tracked today in the form of paper-based agreements and paper-based PBH contracts. So these information can actually be brought into blockchain and smart contracts, and this kind of billing information can be directly triggered by executing the smart contracts on blockchain. So this really helps the pool inventory operators and also the airlines sourcing part from these pools. Then again, another good example is the loan borrow tracking of parts. So as I explained in the previous use case, when this loans and borrow happens between operators, because of their AOG requirements or other cases, it becomes easier to track this kind of information and bill the operators in the right place and at the right amount through third party, through independent systems like blockchain, and both parties would agree to the terms and conditions of the rules, and this way it becomes very easy to track and also bill the operators for the loan and borrow tracking. This is one use case which has emerged out of the current COVID-19 scenario. So what we think is having the COVID-19 information, COVID-19 testing information, and also the vaccine information can also be brought into blockchain platform, and this will hopefully enable the cross-border traveler. And this information will be much more acceptable and much more readily acceptable by the border control agencies, immigration authorities, because it is not coming from a single system or a single entity, but the information is actually collated and stored into the blockchain. So this brings in confidence, and this brings in more comfort to both the governments, operators of airports, and also the passengers themselves, that the information what you are sharing or what you are saying that it is there, it's actually true, and it's untampered information. Final use cases on the baggage tracking and various other airport related scenarios, wherein blockchain and IoT can help in baggage tracking, which is also quite a big problem today, because baggage loss leads to a lot of disagreement and disharmony between the customers and the airlines, and it becomes a big problem if there are any celebrities involved in that, and it becomes a kind of a national news. So blockchain can help in this particular use case as well. So this is what I would like to discuss today on the various other applications of blockchain. We are open to do a free evaluation and applicability of blockchain in your ecosystem, and we can help identify the top 3 use cases as to what would be the right fit. And if there are any use cases which you think is also of interest, and you want to actually try it out, that also can be developed using our enterprise platform and blockchain technology.
Very good.
So with
gentlemen, you've done an excellent job of wrapping this up. We've had 4 weeks now of discussion on blockchain, and you guys have been very faithful in doing that repeatedly. Thank you for doing that. I think it's been very, very informative. Let me just point out here again that if you want a copy of the presentation today, just go to blockchain.digitalaircraft.org and you'll be able to put in your contact information. If you're on a platform where you didn't need to register, like if you're on YouTube or something like that, you can go here and you can register, and we'll send you a copy of the presentation. As well, Kieran will follow up and reach out to people that are interested and see if you would like to learn more about applications in blockchain. And let's continue this conversation. Gentlemen, you have some really great information that you've put together, and I really appreciate such dedication to the industry. Guys, you know that my focus has been on recovery in aviation. And I find that there's a lot of companies that have a lot of opportunities to grow and to recover in aviation, but there's also companies that are just growing because they're implementing good ideas and good technology at this time and when we need to be able to put things forward like this, all right? And so, guys, your company is doing a really great job of leveraging current day technology, applying it to current day business problems, and helping people to be more profitable and more efficient. That's what I see that you guys are doing. LV and Kieran, thanks for the great knowledge. I really appreciate all that you've done, for the industry and providing these kind of solutions.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, all the audience, for joining this sessions and this series. We look forward. What Kiran has presented as the last slide, each one of them could be a potential webinar. So,
very good, very good, very good. Yeah, there's so many possible applications of blockchain. It really does make a really big difference. So, gentlemen, thank you. I really appreciate it and appreciate you being here today. Kieran, thank you for your knowledge and your dedication. I appreciate it. All right, everybody, thank you for watching today, and we look forward to engaging with you into the future. Fair winds and following seas to all of you, and have a great day. Bye now.
Bye-bye.